God, I just pray that you just settle my soul. God, just settle my spirit. And that, God, you would speak through me. Help me to speak with love. Help me to speak with compassion. And help me to speak, God, with conviction. I pray that you be glorified in this and the things that are said here. In the name of Jesus, I pray. Amen. Y'all, I just want to have a conversation. Just talk. I just want to talk. Can we just talk? Can we just talk? Think about where we're going. Alright, gang. Listen, man. These last couple months, bro, been wild, bro. We still in one pandemic and we got a whole new disease on the horizon, bro. Heads talking about monkeypox. It's like, bro, here we go, bro. Can't catch a break. Me personally, I'm outside with the full armor of God, you feel me? Social media been up and down per usual, but I want to talk today about something in particular. Today, we're talking about abortion. Before you hit the comments, watch the full video. Before you pull out your knives, the clips, the fingers, let's just sit down and can we just talk? Let's just talk. Alright. Many of y'all probably know. If you don't know, I'm not sure where you've been, but a month and some change ago, Supreme Court overturned a decision that sent social media into a... I was actually in Chicago when the news broke. My mans woke up and was like, yo, bro, women are about to start getting jailed for miscarriages. And I was just like, yo, what? We was in Chi-Town and we was going through downtown, we was going through the city. All of a sudden, like, the road was packed. We heard like people like, yeah, like chanting type thing. And we walked towards it and I'm just like, oh my gosh. Like, we literally walked into a protest. A lot of stuff being posted on social media. Asked for resources. Like, saw a lot of stuff on Planned Parenthood. A lot of posts, a lot of sentiment, a lot of anger, a lot of passion out there for sure. Literally from Chicago. I feel like it was starting that night. I really just felt God impressing on my heart to dig more into this topic, right? So, hey man, look, you feel me? We got a lot to discuss, man. So for real, wherever you at, put your blanket out, you know what I'm saying, get comfortable, because we prepared to be here for a little bit to talk, you know, just to get some conversation in. So like I said, a Supreme Court decision, Roe v. Wade was overturned a couple months ago, and I had a lot of conversations, with different individuals, people from different walks of life, friend groups, about what they had observed, and also kind of like what their thoughts were, what they were feeling with regards to it. So let's get into it, right? So at the forefront of a lot of the conversations that I had were two labels, pro-life and pro-choice. Most of the time, I feel like labels don't really tell the full story. Think about the labels in and of themselves, right? I'm like, okay, pro-life, bro. I love life. Like, I love life. You feel me? Like, I enjoy life. Like, I try to make the best of my life. Like, I am happy to be alive. You know what I'm saying? Like, I value the life that I have. Like, you're pro, most people are pro their own lives, like, to some degree. So it's like, the label pro-life feels like naturally like yeah, bro. Who's not pro-life? Like, if you're living, even if you're not pro-life, you are kind of pro-life. Like, you're here. You feel me? And then when I think about pro-choice, I'm like, I like choice. I value my choices. Like, I like to make choices. Like, I value my freedom to make choices about my own life. Pro-choice. Are you pro-choosing? I'm like, yeah, like, I like choosing. I think I have the right to make choices, especially choices about my own life. So I'm like, okay, pro-life being pitted against pro-choice, in and of themselves, I'm like, what? I don't want anyone to take my life away from me. I don't want anyone to take my right to make choices away from me. Like, you think about it for yourself. You think that people that are pro-life don't value their right to choose? Do you think that people that value their right to choose do not value life? What do you think? Like, if you take the time to really kind of consider that, it's like, bro, no. You feel me? No. Silly goose. I don't got the stats on that, but 99% of the time, that's probably not the case. So I'm like, the labels in and of themselves, pitted against each other, I was kind of just wrestling when I was like, man, these labels, I don't think really tell the full story. Another thing that bothers me about the whole label thing is like with the labels, right? Pro-loaf, did I say pro-loaf? As in bread loaf? But the labels pro-life and pro-choice, don't all of a sudden mean that you understand where a person stands or how they feel about a number of other things. And I'm not even saying that these things are not necessarily related, but I'm saying that, yo, like, there are a number of implications, there are a number of nuances, like just because a person subscribes to this particular thing does not all of a sudden mean that you fully understand where they stand on a number of other things, right? A person says that they're pro-life. You're not a woman. I'm like, I'm sorry. I'm not. Oh, you're pro-life? All right, so you wholesale endorse the Supreme Court? No, I don't. You're pro-choice, right? You're the far left. You're on the left-hand side of the government. Can everybody just slow down, bro? It's important for us to understand that with this conversation do come a number of implications and nuances. There are a number of related issues to the conversation, but it's like, yo, I'm not saying the conversation has to stay in one place, but like, we should establish, okay, where's the conversation going? What particular realms of impact are we talking about at this moment of time? I understand that, like, it's not that, like, narrow. It definitely has implications for, like, the state of maternal health, and there's a number of things that factor into it, like access to healthcare, and we can have conversations about representation in government. Like, these conversations are related, right? But I'm just saying the labels in and of themselves don't necessarily mean that you fully know a person's political affiliation, that you fully know, like, they're all of a sudden denying realities about the state of access to healthcare, the state of maternal health. Like, bro, I was unable to even have certain conversations because it's like, bro, as soon as a label was thrown out there, it was like everything else went out the window. Every other word that was said went out the window. It didn't matter what I would acknowledge, what I did. Like, it was literally just like, yo, like, I know who you are. I know everything about what you think about this issue. I know all of it. And all I'm saying with the label thing is just like, yo, is that actually true? By knowing that a person is pro-life or pro-choice, does that mean you actually fully know where they stand, how they feel, how they're thinking? Because there's a number of things that other people who subscribe to this particular label may not even realize, may not even be thinking about at all. Because, I mean, we're people. We don't have everything down, every single fact down. So it's just like, yo, the label thing, it's like, yo, like, it's already shaky for me because I'm like, life and choice in and of themselves are both something that I subscribe to in and of themselves. And the labels also have started to give way to a lot of really just jumping on one another without actually trying to listen to what one another like are saying, jumping or making a lot of assumptions about one another and what we think, bro. Like, bro, we should talk about these things, and we shouldn't just assume that the label is going to give us an end all be all with what people, you feel me, think. So again, right, generally, I've already said I'm not the biggest proponent of labels, but from what I've seen, right, from the conversations that I've been able to have, this is what I've understood pro-life and pro-choice to mean as it pertains to specifically abortions, right? Individual, from what I've seen, that identifies as pro-life is a proponent of protecting life, basically by all means, by any means possible, right? Let's protect life over everything, and particularly when it comes to abortion, that would be the unborn life, right? Life that's in the womb, you feel me? And I think that it stems generally from the idea that all human life, wherever it is, in here, out there, is valuable and should be protected. Yeah, it would be an injustice to take it. They are generally tend to be the ones that are anti-abortion because they see abortion as taking innocent human life. And then for those that are pro-choice, identify as pro-choice, these are ones that from what I found, tend to be ones that are proponent of an individual's right to choose, right? To be the sovereign decision maker, right? The supreme, first and final authority when it comes to making decisions about their own lives and their own body. They tend to be the ones that are pro-abortion, even if they don't necessarily want a woman to have it. Like, so that's what I'm saying again, right? That doesn't necessarily mean that they want people to go out and have abortions, right? Let's just be real. Like, that doesn't necessarily mean they want people to go out and have abortions, but they are proponents of a woman having the option to choose to have an abortion, even if they're not necessarily saying like, hey, let's just widespread and have a bunch of abortions, right? They say the woman should have the right to make that choice if she deems it necessary for her own life and body, right? This is the understanding that I've been able to garner with regards to what those labels mean, particularly as it pertains to abortion. Notice, like, that doesn't necessarily mean I didn't say like a pro-life person is like a pro-life person is a conservative. I didn't necessarily say that a pro-choice person is a liberal OD. Like, this is just me trying to understand what the labels mean, particularly as it pertains to abortion, okay? So, with that foundation laid, right, some of the sentiments that I've seen be expressed, right, when people subscribe to pro-life or pro-choice, when and engage each other in conversations, what I found is kind of this. An individual that identifies as pro-life, they would argue that nobody has the right to take an individual's life. To which a person who identifies as pro-choice, that statement in and of itself, nobody has the right to take an individual's life, if they're being honest, will agree. They might argue that a person can exercise their freedoms however they want. To which a person who identifies as pro-life will probably agree. It's like, yeah, a person can and will ultimately do whatever they want. But we're talking about the right. Right? So while somebody might argue back that, well, no, people can exercise their freedom however they want. People do things that other people don't like. People break laws, right? People technically are free to they can exercise their freedom to break laws. But when we talk about rights, right, would they also argue that the government should protect an individual in doing so, right, in exercising their freedom to break laws? Right? We would never say that. That's literally anarchy. Okay, what are we actually saying? What do we actually believe here, right? Nobody has the right to take an individual's life. They may exercise their freedom and actually end up murdering or killing someone, but we would argue that they should be punished for that. They should be held accountable for their actions, right? The government should not protect them in exercising that freedom. And then on the flip side, for the individual who identifies as pro-choice, they say, well, I can do what I want with my life and with my body. And that in of itself is kind of, a person who identifies as pro-life, I think you can understand that. Yeah, you, generally speaking, should be the decision maker with what happens with your body and your life. Generally speaking, when we start discussing what we actually like believe with regards to these labels, like, we can come to common understandings, or at least like understand, even if we don't even wholesale agree, have some level of understanding of where the other side is coming from. Nobody has the right to end an individual's life. You should be the one that makes decisions about your body. In and of themselves, these are not on either side, I hope, not super duper far-fetched. So coming back, right, reeling it back in, now that we understand kind of what those labels mean as it pertains to abortion, as someone, I talked about myself, who's a proponent of life and also values my right to make choices, right? Where does it get tricky? I think it's because now we're not just talking about life and choice as individual separate entities. We're talking about their intersection. Now with abortion, we be talking about individuals' right to choose, right, at the expense of another individual's right to live. If there is another individual involved at all. Yeah, so I think that's what makes abortion so tricky, because now we're talking about choice at the expense of life. And even to that, examining this question of, is there another life involved at all. And going back, well, what are we actually talking about here? For the person who identifies as pro-life, right? If there actually is another life involved, if we're talking about choice at the expense of another life involved, right? That would be on the same playing field as murder. A lot of people who are pro-life or consider themselves pro-life, they see abortion as nothing short of murder, because they're saying that you are making the choice to end another person's life unjustly. In the conversations that I've had, one of the biggest points of contention is this actually a life, right? Because if it's not a life, then we're having a different conversation. But if it is a life, right, then again, right, we're talking about murder here. You make choices about your own like body and your life, but with abortion, are you making just a choice about your life, or is there another life involved? We want to protect all life. We want to, including the life of the person that's considering an abortion, right? But is there another life that we need to be considering? Is there another life in the womb that warrants consideration? Because then, if there is, the scales get tipped a lot more. We do not believe, I hope you do not believe, right, that you have the right to choose to end someone else's life. And I don't think anybody, pro-life or pro-choice, is pro-murder. If you're pro-murder, just stay where you are real quick. Just stay where you are. Let me just stay right where you are, man. Stay right where you are. The authority's on the way. So for me, like, when I was having a lot of these conversations, I wanted to get to is there a right or wrong way to think about abortion? I think I came to the understanding that the conversation of abortion hinges upon how we're thinking about human life. Is there a right or wrong way to think about human life? If human life and existence are not simply just matters of opinion, but there's actually a right and a wrong way to think about them, then the same may be true of abortion, that there is actually a right or wrong way to be thinking about it. Once we're actually thinking appropriately about it, then we can actually begin to act accordingly. I saw on social media a lot of people saying like a lot of things, like we're acting, but it's like, okay, like, have we actually done our due diligence to evaluate the way that we're thinking about this, and actually if there may be an appropriate way to think about it that is outside, that is not just feelings or passion or heat of the moment based, right? Because we started on two separate sides of pro-life, pro-choice, and once we got to the heart of the matter and realized, okay, is there actually another human life involved? We went from life and choice to like, are we talking about murder here? And if we are talking about murder, then we're no longer on two separate sides. If whatever is involved in the womb is somehow subhuman, like not human, then maybe a completely different conversation, right? And if it is, then the labels disappear. Pro-life, pro-choice disappear, and now everybody's on the side of, bro, nobody is for murder. If there's actually a way to think about this that's right, then we'll be better equipped to think appropriately about abortion and then act accordingly, right? But it's going to be hard for me to act accordingly, to act appropriately, if I'm not even thinking appropriately about the subject in question. Disclaimer number one. I just want to say at this point, like, for the record, I by no means am neutral. I'm not neutral. I'm not neutral on the topic of abortion by any means. I want to get to the heart of the matter. I want to get to the heart of the matter so that I'm thinking appropriately about it, so that I can take action. Because I do think it's important that we evaluate our ideas, that we not just speak, that we also act. So, like I said, I'm not neutral. I'm not neutral. You know what I'm saying? I just want to get to the heart of the matter. And I think that the abortion conversation really hinges upon how we see human life. Disclaimer number two, when I say abortion, for the purposes of clarity, I'm talking specifically about the deliberate, purposeful, intentional termination of a human pregnancy. I'm not talking about a naturally occurring abortion, which is otherwise known as like a miscarriage, right, which occurs like spontaneously, maybe due to health complications for a number of reasons. I'm talking about one that happens deliberately. Nor am I talking about a medical procedure to save a woman's life that has the effect, right, the adverse effect, the undesirable effect of resulting in an unborn baby's death. This is generally referred to as like an ectopic pregnancy, right? And if I may also add, I do believe, and just prefaces that even anti-abortion laws should make provisions for such. I think that that's an important moral distinction to make, because I believe that there's a difference between making the choice between the loss of one life and two. I see that as different from simply choosing to end one life where there are no life-threatening complications. Hey, you're not being neutral. I never said I was. I never said I was neutral. I never said that. So with that, let's begin.